Is up? Welcome to another edition of SacTown Movie Buffs. Once again, I'm Kier, and this is Jason. And today we are back reviewing a film that I saw streaming. I don't know if it was in theaters or not. I don't.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It was one of the. It only went to theaters first, so
Okay.
that's where I saw it like last November, I think.
Okay.
November, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird how quickly like things are going off of the box office and like immediately streaming like within like 2 months now, though. So
Yeah.
So that's why I get confused, because it's like a trend where, it used to be back in the day or before COVID anyways, like you'd have to wait like 6 months to like almost, you know what I mean, to watch it on, to rent it or whatever. Or it seemed like it was longer anyways, you know what I mean? It seems like there was a much longer time before you could actually rent it. But now it seems like, movies aren't playing very long. It's like, they're only playing for like a month and then it's immediately already streaming. So but I digress. So the film that we're actually referring to is Last Night in Soho. And I say, without further ado, I say we get right into it. I'll go ahead and take this on. So Last Night in Soho is actually directed by Edgar Wright, who's definitely a director that, I've been kind of watching. He's been making some pretty interesting films over the last couple of years for sure. And it stars, and I think her name is Thomasin McKenzie.
Mm-hmm.
As basically a girl that's kind of like, in a nutshell, stuck kind of like in the 1960s. She's just like loves like the 1960s like culture and life and music and clothing and things of that nature, and wants to be kind of like a fashion designer. She's so much stuck in the 1960s that when the film first started, I didn't know we were in present day initially. I didn't know that the film actually took place in present day. I thought it took place like in the 60s for the first couple of minutes of the film, because she was wearing like old clothes and listening to like 60s music and things of that nature. And she was living with like her grandmother, who was basically, older. So had like a lot of older stuff around the house. So I was like, oh, is this like a period piece? Is it set like in the 60s or something? It wasn't until, she was getting ready to go to like college or whatever, or go to fashion school that I realized that it was modern day. So she basically is living in like outside of like London, I guess, and then goes to like basically London to go to like fashion school, and is basically staying with like, these like kind of like mean girls. Basically, her roommate's kind of a mean girl, and they kind of like tease her about her clothing and things of that nature, and her dress, and the kinds of music she listens to and that kind of stuff. And so she just doesn't really have a really good relationship with those girls. So she eventually decides to like check herself out of the school and basically go rent an apartment from like some old lady. She found like her card or something of that nature, or found like there was a room available in this house. So she ends up going and living in this house, and basically every time she goes to bed at night or goes to sleep at night, she basically transforms or starts seeing through the eyes of this other girl named Sandy, that's played by Anya Taylor-Joy, who's basically in the 1960s as like this like aspiring like singer wanting to get into like the entertainment industry kind of thing. And so basically what happens is she, like when she looks in the mirror, she sees Sandy and basically sees like kind of like living vicariously through her life, I guess, if you will. And then like wakes up the next day, but those dreams are so vivid and so real that she feels like this has to be like a real person. And so basically she's also getting like inspirations for like, her clothing and for her fashion from the clothes of this lady Sandy that she's basically having dreams about, and things of that nature. But at some point in the film, things start taking a bad turn for the Sandy character. And not only does it start taking a bad turn for her, some of the things that she's seeing in her dreams, she's now starting to see in reality when she wakes up again. And so basically that's in a nutshell the film, without going too much into details. So it's kind of a horror film, but it doesn't necessarily start off as kind of horror. It's kind of like one of those films that like slowly builds into a horror film. It's really interesting because, it's like one of those things where every time she eventually starts getting scared to like go sleep at night or go sleep in her room because she's afraid of, what she's going to find out about this person and whether this person is actually real or not. And at some point, she feels like this must have been a real person that was living in the 1960s. And that's kind of the moral of the story. That's kind of the story there. There's more to it than that. But like I said, I don't want to go into spoilers or go into too much details because you really should just watch it. And hopefully that's enough to get you interested if you haven't seen it. But in a nutshell, I liked it. Like I said, I thought it was fun. I thought it was interesting. Definitely has, I'll say a few twists and turns that I didn't necessarily see coming. So I kind of enjoyed that as well. But yeah, it was just a, decent, solid film. I didn't necessarily love it. I wasn't like over the moon with it, but I definitely did enjoy it for sure. So what was your take, Jason?
Yeah, I didn't like it. This
Really?
was like, this was a pretty big disappointment for me because Edgar Wright's one of my favorite filmmakers. I mean, he made Shaun of the Dead, one of my favorite movies of all time. He made Scott Pilgrim versus the World, Hot Fuzz, The World's End. He did the Don't trailer in Grindhouse. I mean,
Right.
like he's made everything he's made so far. I've really loved. So I was super excited for this because it's a horror movie. It's kind of a giallo, kind of an Italian style horror movie.
Mhm.
So I was really excited for this, and maybe my expectations were too high, but I just I don't know. Like I was into it at first, and I just felt my interest level going down and down and down and down. And I think maybe part of it was that like I could see where it was going like the whole time. Not the very last twist. There's a pretty good twist toward the end that kind of snapped me back into it because I didn't see that coming.
Right.
But the rest of it just like I don't know. I just knew where it was going the whole time, and like I don't know. I can't really remember because it's been like 2 months since I saw it. But I know that I was really pumped to see this, and I was not into it. So, yeah, I don't know. Didn't like it.
Right. It happens, man. It's nothing
Plus,
to be
you know
ashamed
me,
of.
I'll probably watch it again and give it 5 stars.
Yeah,
So
probably. Yeah, you're like, yeah, all those things that I didn't like about it, I loved the second time.
I know. Now I love that you can see where it's going the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't love it, but I did like it. And what really makes up for the film, and I will agree with you that like, I don't know, midway through the film, I wasn't digging it all the way. It was like one of those films that starts off really good and I really wanted to see where it's going, but somewhere around the middle of the film, I wasn't as invested, I guess, if you will. So I could kind of see that. But it does definitely pick back up for a really good conclusion. And I definitely like the conclusion or the end of the film. So, and if you can do some twists right, that can, in some cases, almost make up for the film. It doesn't always make up. I mean, not if it's just a terrible film. If you could have a terrible film with a great twist, but that's not going to do a whole lot for me. But because I'm not going to want to watch the film to get to that part or to see, how everything unfolded or whatever case may be. But this one had a pretty good twist, and the movie wasn't inherently bad. There were just definitely some parts in the middle where I was kind of felt myself slowly like not as engaged, if you will. I wasn't 100% checked out. I just wasn't as engaged as I was in the beginning, wanting to figure out where the story's going. But I felt like it had a pretty good conclusion, which I definitely dug. So
yeah. I had something to say there, but I couldn't. I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
That's all right. Right. Well, if it comes back to you before we wrap up in 20 seconds, you definitely let me know.
Yeah, I will be sure to do that.
Yeah. Well, was there anything else you wanted to add about this film?
Not until I remember what I was going to say, but oh well.
Understandable. Yeah. Well, I know you weren't a huge fan of it, so what was your overall grade and I guess face you would give this one?
Again, it's been 2 months, but my memory's not super fresh on it, but at the time I gave it a 2 out of 5, which is really, really low for me. So that was like a base because that's how I felt most of the time watching it. But yeah, 2 out of 5. So for me, it's Last Night in NoHo.
NoHo.
I've been planning that the whole time. Just by the way.
I see.
Yeah.
So. Well, this is one of those rare cases where I actually like a movie more than you do.
I know that like never happens. We should say
it happens like maybe 3 times a year.
Yeah.
but sometimes you even like my favorite films. You'll give it a higher grade than I actually gave.
Yeah, it's in your top 10, but it's in my like top 50.
Yeah, and you gave it a higher grade.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I gave this one. This is number 3, and I gave it 4 stars. You're like, yeah, it's not even my top 10. I gave it 4.5.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
But hey, just how it goes.
Yeah.
I actually gave this one 3 stars. I liked it. I didn't love it, but I did like it. I do think that it is a worthwhile film to watch. If nothing else, it does have a very interesting twist. And if you have a good twist, we were just talking about another movie earlier. If you have a good twist, a lot of times I'm going to enjoy it, based on that. As long as the precursor of the film wasn't completely terrible. If you have a pretty decent twist, I'm usually interested and sold on it for sure. So 3 out of 5 and just a big smile. No teeth in this case. But yeah. But I will agree with you in terms of, and I haven't loved everything that Edgar Wright has made. I definitely have liked a lot of his films. I mean, obviously, he makes a lot of those, like, Shaun of the Deads and those types of films, which I like. I don't love them quite as much as you do anyways. But I did love Baby Driver for sure. So
yeah, Baby Driver too. Yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah.
So that's my favorite film of his is Baby Driver, me personally. But yeah, definitely interested to see kind of what he does next, and hopefully it's better than Last Night in Soho, which I didn't hate, but it was a step down from Baby Driver, which I think was his last film that I can remember anyways. So
yeah. And he actually, I forgot, he even made 2 movies. He released 2 movies this year, and one of them was that I liked a lot more than this one, frankly, was the Sparks Brothers, which is a documentary. And yeah, that I thought was fantastic. It turned me on to a whole new area of music I didn't even realize was there. And so I love that one. So it is cool to see him like stretching out and doing different things. This was kind of a darker, more serious kind of borderline horror, but this one, at least on the first time I watched it, didn't do it for me. But I'm still a huge fan of his.
For sure. Yeah, I just checked. It looks like the next movie he's actually working on is The Running Man. So.
That sounds cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I'm not anti-remake if it's well done.
Yeah.
So
looks like they're not even setting it too far in the future. The tagline, it says "A Running Man." It says a futuristic United States of 2025.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's 3 years in the future. If that's still current, I don't know. But It was just announced, so I don't know. That might not even be coming out until 2025 for all we know. But but cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let us know down in the comments. Have you seen Last Night in Soho? Did you like it? Did you not like it? As always, if you like the channel, we ask you to like, subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell notification. And we'll be back again with another show for you guys. We thank you for watching and hope you have a great day. Bye.